I want to make a game. I've learned how to model with Blender a decent amount. I've made a couple models, here they are. They're working quite nicely. I can pose them, I can animate, I can do whatever I want at the moment. I'll have to work on trying to learn how to make maps later, and learn how to actually make scenes and put them into a game program. I've not learned how to code yet, that'll be later down the line. At this very moment, I'm trying to make the music. I'm trying to learn how to make action stuff. And I was told something about music theory. Instead of actually trying to learn someone else's definition, I'll be making up my own, with definitions that I will be making up on my own. I'll explain what this vocabulary is along the way. Whenever I bring something up, I'll quickly explain what I mean by blank with its corresponding definition. I want to make action music. I suck at it. I'll be taking examples of different songs of different styles, but overall trying to find out how to make some sort of action song on my own. I'll be starting off with going over Thunder Force 4's Metal Squad, because of course, well, really good 8-bit stuff. I'm working in 8-bit at this moment. So I'll be looking at these few examples of what I have right here, and explain my process of listening into each synth that is used, how they use them, how are they introduced, what are the patterns that are here. This entire thing is just entirely just supposed to be me hearing my own thoughts, and possibly other people giving me their own thoughts as I go along, whether they know music theory or not. But anyways, this is just something for me instead of putting it out there. Well, here we are. Get started with Metal Squad. The first thing that I noted as I was listening to this was that they introduced both the beat and this very first synth. How the synth is played is, well, pattern 1, pattern 1, pattern 2, and this pattern 2 is just a lower tone version of the same exact pattern. What I mean by pattern is you'll notice over a little bit of time you'll hear the exact same thing that played, loop, and then it comes again the second time around, lower pitch. 1, 1, 2 is how I'm going to be explaining that. I've done it many times in certain songs that I've made, whether they were good or not. As for later down the line when it introduces the main synth, the MS, if you will. That's how I've been noting it down. MS is a lot higher pitch than the original synth. And now the original synth has changed at this point. And now the original synth is more trying to focus with this new instrument, the main synth. Same with the beat, going with it as well. And this main synth is very much more varying. It changes quite frequently, you're not hearing it loop until, well, you do hear it loop. So it's more of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of thing, alongside with the first synth and the beat. But yes, the first synth becomes more background over time. Later, when we get into this melody, they turn the first synth into a drone. What I mean by drone is something that is more just a constant humming. May not be an incredibly long amount of humming, but it's noticeable in certain songs. But in this one, it definitely becomes a drone. But after the melody is finished up and it's into the next verse, which is a lengthier pattern, pretty much like the pattern of the patterns put up together. But when the first verse and that melody is done, the chorus kind of sets in, which is entirely just a much higher tone drum and, well, a more chorusy sound. When I'm talking about chorus, I'm referring to the setting how Beepbox has a chorus. What I'm using for 8-bit music is Beepbox, and whenever you set up the chorus onto it, it distorts the audio effect into going into both ears instead of just one, and it's just not in the middle. It becomes stereo rather than mono, which makes for interesting synths. And at the end, it is very noticeable that it entirely just loops into itself again and again and again. A 1-minute song turns into as long as you want it to be. So what have I gained so far? Looking back, I didn't really explain too much of myself of how I mean by action music. I'm talking about more of a rocky 8-bit vibe. But overall, I'm trying to go for this certain style. What Thunder Force does is a lot of lone tones stuff, and if it's going to be up front and center, it's going to be much higher pitch. It catches your ears a bit more. I guess the first synth is more like a bass in this case, or it could just be like a secondary guitar, if you will. But overall, it is shown off high pitch as the front, lower pitch in the back, and then you could also still have another higher pitch in the back. It's just gotta be much quieter than the rest. The beat, bass, they all go along with this main instrument. Meanwhile, you can have like more chorus in the back doing its own thing, but still, it's all gotta work together. It's gotta work in tandem, or else it's just gonna sound like a lot of bleeps and blops. Whenever I go back and listen to the song, I'm always inspired to make some sort of song. 10 minutes in, I'm not really liking what I'm making, and I just throw it away. With this, I'm sure I'm going to try to fix that in some way, but working with melodies, I have not really made too many songs with melodies. It's mainly just been a basic, long thing of just the same exact pattern on loop. It's been very boring to sit down and listen to it because, well, I haven't made it interesting enough that I want to listen to them. I've only made a few in the past that I've actually just sat down and just enjoyed listening to my own stuff. And those that I have made that I've liked are pretty decent in their own right. Some have told me that I'm pretty good at my level of being very new to whole music making stuff, especially with this software. But I've been working with it quite a while, and I have not tried to get better. I've been just throwing more shit at the wall. Not much has stuck, but the ones that do stick, they stick pretty well. I'll end this off with just saying, take it all with a grain of salt. I am no expert in music theory or whatever. I just like listening to it, and I'm curious about trying to make it. At least in the certain software that I'm using at the moment. But yes, this is all trying to build up to make a game. So this isn't the only thing that I'll have to be talking about and showing how I'm learning. If any of you have anything out of this, please do comment it. I am, well, as you can see, I'm very new to this whole looking at musical stuff, at least somewhat intellectually. And if you have anything that would be great for me to get introduced to, I'd be grand with it.